Shabbat Shalom. We'll get started on page 10 of our Siddur with Yedid Nefesh. Page 10. Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman Meshoch Avdach El Retzonach Yarutz Avdach Kamo Ayal Yishtachave Mul Hatarach Ki Yerav Lo Yedidutach Minofet Sufechotam Hadur Nae Ziv Ha'olam Nafshi Cholat Avatach Ana Ilna Refana Lach Beharot Lach Noam Zivach אז תתחזק ותתרפא, והייתה לך שפחת עולם, ותיק יהמו רחמך, וחוסנה על בן אוהבך, כי זה כמה נחשף, לראות בתפארת עוזך, אנא אלי מחמד ליבי, חושנה ואל תתעלם, הגלנה ופרוס חביב עלי, את סוכת שלומך, תאיר ארץ מכבודך, נגילה ונשמחה בך, מהר אהוב כי במועד, וחנני כי מעולם. ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די די די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די די די, ידה די 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 די די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די די די. Yada dai 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 dai. Page 11 and 12. We will read responsively. We haven't done this one in English in a while. We'll read responsively the words of Psalm 95 in English. I'll start. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God, raising our voice in song. Come then, let us bow and kneel, let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai, who formed us. If you would only listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted like the people at Merivah, like that time at Massah in the desert, when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. For 40 years I was troubled by that generation, and I said, these are a people whose hearts have gone astray. They do not know my way, so in anger I swore they would not enter my rest. Page 13. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, basru miyom liyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim kevodo bechol ha'amim nifleotav. Ki gadol Adonai umehulal me'od, norahu Al kol Elohim, ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim, v'Adonai shamayim asa, hod v'hadar lefanav, oz v'tiferet b'mikdasho, havu l'Adonai mishpechot amim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, Se'u mincha uvo lechatzrotav aidai ishtachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh chilu mipanav kol haaretz imru vagoyim Adonai malach avtikon tevel baal timot yadin amim b'meisharim yismechu hashamayim v'tagil haaretz yiram hayam Umlo Ya'alo Sadai Vechol Asher Bo Aidai Az Yeranenu Kolat Seyar Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishpot Haaretz Yishpot Tevel Betzedek Ve'amim Be'emunato Yadai Pages 15 and 16 we will read individually silently. Adonai malach tagel haaretz yismechu iyim rabim. Yehi voshukon. O have Adonai sinu ra shomer nafshot chasidav miyar reshaim yatzileim or zaru el atzadik u'ishtei lev simcha tzadikim b'Adonai v'hodu lezecher kodsho Mizmor shiru l'Adonai shir chadash ki niflo rasa hoshia lo yamino uzra kodsho Elohim Hari Adonai kol haaretz pitchui. Lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz yishpot tevel betzedek ve'amim b'meisharim. We'll read pages 19 and 20 responsively in the English, and we'll also sing Romamu, the closing line at the end. Do we have somebody who we could see could read? Edie, would you read for us? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Is there something I'm supposed to do on a microphone?
It doesn't matter. It's okay.
Okay, and we're on page 19 at the top.
Yes.
Adonai reigns, nations tremble. The one enthroned amidst the cherubim makes the world quake.
Adonai is great in Zion above all nations. They shall acknowledge your name, saying, Great, awe-inspiring, Holy One.
The sovereign strength lies in the love of justice, and you forge the paths of truth, judging Jacob righteously and justly.
Exalt Adonai our God, bow down before God, the Holy One. Sorry, next page.
Moses and Aaron among God's priests, and Samuel among those who call upon the divine name, called to you, and you answered them. You spoke to them from amidst the cloud. They kept your covenant and the law you gave them. You answered them, Adonai our God. You are a forgiving God to them, even as you punish them for their transgressions.
Exalt Adonai our God, and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai our God is holy. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. Page 21, Psalm 29, מזמור לדוד. מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בני אלים, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש. קול אדוני על המים, אל הכבוד הרים, אדוני על מים רבים. קול אדוני בכוח, קול אדוני בהדר, קול אדוני שובר ארזים, וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון. וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון, וסיריון כמו בן רעמים. קול אדוני חוצב להבות אש, קול אדוני יכיל מדבר, יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש. קול אדוני יחולל איילות, ויחשוף יערות, ובהיכלו כולו אומר כבוד, כולו אומר כבוד. אדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו ושלום. Page 23, we'll continue with Lecha Dodi, and I will change melodies after the fifth stanza. So the first five will be one, and we'll do the other four in a different one. Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו, אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאים מתוך הפך רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. התנערי מיפרקו מלבשי בגדי תפארתך מעל יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קרבה אל נפשי גאלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי. כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לא תבושי ולא תקלמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תמי בך יחסו עניי עמי, ונבנתה עיר אל תילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. והיו למשיסה שעושייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהיך כמסוס חתן על כלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני תעריצי על יד איש בן פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. You may be seated. We continue on page 27. Mizmor shir liyom hashabbat tov leodot l'Adonai l'zamer l'shimcha liyom. Ki hina yoyevecha. Tzadik katamar yifrach ke'erez balevanon yizke shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yavrichu od yenuvon beseiva Desheinim verananim yiyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri velo avlatabo. We will read responsively again on page 29. Let's see. Don, would you lead us? The rivers rise up, Adonai. The rivers raise up their roar. The rivers raise up their waves. Above the roar of the vast sea and the majestic breakers of the ocean, Adonai stands supreme in the heavens.
Your house, beautiful in its holiness, the testimonies of your
We'll turn to page 30 for Mourner's Kaddish, Kaddish Tom. If there is anyone who is reciting Kaddish, I will invite them to join with me at this time. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba. Ba'alama divra kirutei ve'amlich malchutei b'chayei chon u'v'yomei chon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach la'alam u'la'lamei alamaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei v'kudsha b'richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran ba'alama ve'imru amen. Yehei shalama Rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Mosei shalom b'imramav Ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Turn now to our Mariv service, which begins on page 39. Please rise. Wish I'd caught everybody before they sat down. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. We continue with the blessing on page 39a. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim v'chochma. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. Page 40. Please join me in the English. With timeless love, you have loved your people, the house of Israel. You have taught us Torah and mitzvot, statutes and laws. Therefore, Adonai, our God, as we lie down and we rise up, we shall speak of your laws, rejoicing in the words of your Torah and in your mitzvot forever and ever. For they are our life and the fullness of our days, and on them we shall meditate day and night. ואבטחל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. והיה, אם שמעתי שמע מצוותיי ישר. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, Adonai Elohechem Emet, page 43a. This is our enduring affirmation binding on us, that Adonai is our God and there is none other, and we, Israel, are God's people. God is our sovereign, redeeming us from earthly rulers, delivering us from the hand of all tyrants, bringing judgment upon our oppressors and just retribution upon all our mortal enemies, performing wonders beyond understanding and marvels beyond all reckoning. God places us among the living, not allowing our steps to falter, and leads us past the false altars of our enemies, exalting us above all those who hate us. Adonai avenged us with miracles before Pharaoh, offered signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. God smote in anger all of Egypt's firstborn, brought Israel from its midst to lasting freedom, and led them through the divided water of the Sea of Reeds. As their pursuers and enemies drowned in the depths, God's children beheld the power of the divine. They praised and acknowledged God's name. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל, לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, ידי 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 מלכותך ראו בניך בוקי הים לפני משה, זה אלי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ידי 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 ידי, ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמידנו מגן לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום, עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. We rise on page 46. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חון וביומי חון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם לא עלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמך וקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו amen. We continue with a silent Amidah starting on page 47. When you're done with your own personal prayers, please be seated. Baruch. הרוח המוריד הגשם. Rise for the symbolic recapitulation of the Amidah, beginning on page 53. ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון קונה שמיים וארץ מגן ההוד בדברו מחיה מתים במאמרו האל הקדוש שאין כמוהו המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו כי בם רצה להניח להם לפניו נעבוד ביראה ופחד ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד מעון הברכות אל ההודעות אדון השלום מקדש השבת ומברך שביעי ומניח בקדושה לעמדו שני עונג זכר למעשה בראשית אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו רצה במנוחתנו קדשנו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך שבענו מטובך ושמחנו בישועתך וטהר ליבנו לעבדך באמת והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון שבת קודשך וינוחו בישראל מקדשי שמך ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. We'll move to Kaddish Shalem on page 54. There is a Kiddush cup. Okay, I was going to ask about that. Okay. Kaddish Shalem, page 54. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברי קירותך וימליך מלכותך בחייכון וביומייכון ובחי לכל בית ישראל, בהגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלמי עלמיה יתברך, וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. תתקבל סוטה דברתו דכל ישראל קדם ובהון נביא שמיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום הוא יעשה שלום שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויעשה שלום ויעשה שלום שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל יעשה שלום יעשה שלום שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל יעשה שלום יעשה שלום שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל יעשה שלום ויעשה שלום שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. סברי. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'b'ratzon inchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Continue with Aleinu on page 56. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'atet gedula li'yotzer b'reishit, shelo asanu ki goyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'goraleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim. Lifnei melech, malchei hamelachim, hakadosh baruch hu. She'ena de Shemai v'yasedav. Al ken nekavel lachar. ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד. On this Shabbat, the 26th of Tishrei, we are observing Yortzites of Julius Clampert, Reuben Nevins, Edith Richards, and Paul. There are three more. Paul Lipschitz, Ada Puss, and Grazia Daba. In addition, in the coming week, we'll also be observing those of Malka Davar, Minnie Shear, Celia Costum, Rose R. Silverman, Louis Teitelbaum, Henry Nathan, Sonia Koff, Ida Biederman, and Helen Ain. In addition to all of these, we think at this time of those whom we've lost in our community over the last year. Among them, Helene Katz, Evelyn Seltzer, Pat Keeler, Marge Ryder, Amy Perlman, Norm Epstein, Paul Bassa, Steve Blyer, Bernie Kiwi, Ron Kavikoff, Dan Geyer, Charles Albright, Bernie Slavitt, Elaine Beagleson, and Frank Grossman. If there's anyone else you're thinking of tonight whom I didn't mention and you'd like to mention them by name, I'll invite you to do that. Okay. If you are reciting Kaddish, whether you're with us here in person or on the stream, I will invite you to join with me at this time. We're on page 58, Kaddish Yatom. Yit Gadal V'Yit Kadash Shmei Rabba Ba'alama Divra Kirutei V'Yamlich Malchutei B'Chayei Chon U'B'Yomei Chon U'Chayei D'Chol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala U'Bizman Kari V'Imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Varach La'alam U'Lalamei Alamaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shmei D'Kudsha Brichu La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran v'alama v'imramei. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imramei. Osei Shalom v'imramaf. Huya Asay Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. I was about to grab Bill and ask him for our announcements. He's, I think, otherwise engaged. I know that. Oh, there we go. Bill. Our announcements. Do we have? Okay, I'm the announcer. Okay. We've got services tomorrow morning, 9:30. Hope to see some of you folks there again. We have got, we'll have services on Sunday as well at 9, our weekday morning minyan, 9 a.m. At 10:15, the Sisterhood will be having a program in the social hall with a featured speaker.
Yes. Speakers and musicians.
Okay, 4 speakers. That was the 4. I was trying to read this. I thought you wanted me to bunt. I wasn't sure. I'm sorry. Okay, so speakers, and it's I think on domestic violence prevention and that's awareness, domestic violence awareness prevention. Yes. Okay, and throughout the remainder of the week. I don't think we've got a lot going on this week. I think you saw in my email we've hit that Acharei Chagim, which is a lovely time to be a rabbi. Certainly compared with the last couple of weeks, but we're heading into the new month of Cheshvan, which will be punctuated by a lack of holidays, a lack of punctuation. I can tell you that we will be doing. What may be our last, I'm not really sure, but we'll be doing another Torah on Tap session on a Thursday evening in October. It should be on the 28th, if I've got my days correct. And we plan to do that at Sonder Brewing. It's probably going to be our last time out of doors. And depending on the COVID situation, we may elect not to try to do one in an indoor venue. Kind of remains to be seen what November is going to look like. Besides that, we'll have our regular programs as well as stay tuned for some other things that we're doing as well. I know Rabbi Shapra's Trope class is continuing, and I'm hoping to launch a Parsha class soon on Tuesday afternoons. So, and that's all I've got for right now. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Okay. Well, I know B does, but she'll be with us in a few. Just a few minutes. Yigdal, page 62. Yigdal Elohim Chai ve'yishtabach nimtza ve'ein el mitziuto echad ve'en yachid ki yichudo ne'lam v'gam ein sof le'achduto ein lo dmut haguf ve'eino guf lo na'aroch elav kedushato Kadmon l'chol davar asher nivra Rishon ve'en reshit l'reshito Hino Adon olam l'chol notzar Yoreh gedulato malchuto Shefa nevuato netano El anshe sgulato v'tifato Lo kam b'Yisrael kamo she'od Navi umabit et tmunato Toratem Natan le'amo el al yad neviyo ne'man beito lo yachalif ha'el velo yamir dato le'olamim lezulato tzofe v'yodea zetareinu Mavit l'sof davar bekadmato. Gomel ish chesed kemifalo. Noten l'rasha ra kirishato. Yishlach l'ket yamim meshicheinu. Lifdot mechake ket yeshuato. Metim yechaye el berov chasdo. Baruch hadei ad shem tehilato. Metim yechaye el berov chasdo. Baruch hadei ad shem tehilato. Shabbat shalom. And do we have another introducer? Am I your introducer? I'll introduce you. This is B, everybody. B Horowitz, our member B Horowitz, is going to be presenting tonight on how she goes about preparing to paint a painting.
That's good, right there.
Thank you. Okay. If you do, we've got one right up here. I can for you. Yeah. Okay. The only danger with the stool is if you forget you're standing on it
Oh,
and you go to walk.
I won't.
Okay.
I use chairs in the house all the time.
Very good. Okay.
Okay, I have some handouts. And Rabbi, I'm going to give you Julie Pentelnick's. And all you have to do is make a copy of it for them, for the Pentelnicks. The rest of these, Arnie, if you could hand them out. But please don't look at this until I...
So Arnie, hold on to them until she's ready. That way we can't,
Right.
That way we can't get distracted.
I have one. Okay. Couples.
We may need you to talk a little louder than usual because of the mask.
I know. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, geez. Here I am, and this is the big question for tonight. How do I go about starting a painting? Basically, I use references, and I have some references in the form of photographs, and other references I go out on location and, let's say, stand in the park and pick a spot that I'm going to paint, or start out drawing, then take a photograph of it, and then bring it back to studio. And I've done that frequently. There's a lot of people out here. Look at this. Okay, well, how do I go about starting a painting? Well, basically, that's what I do with the reference. I always prime the canvas and then do the drawing on the canvas. And I usually do a drawing with a light color pencil. Yes. Okay. And what I basically do is I always prime the canvas and then just put a wash on it in a color. Usually it's in pink. And then I draw on it. And I always prime the canvas. I color mixing right on my palette. And Arnie, there's an example of a palette in the form of a board. See the colors there? That's it. Pass that around. That's a form of a palette, and I sometimes spread the colors out and then combine them. Can you all hear me? Okay, good. And I color mix right on my palette, which is a sheet of like plastic paper. And then I make a board such as what's being passed around, and so that I have an example of all the colors. And I pretty well know what colors I put down to begin with. Color mixing I did in the space of 4 weeks, and I did it with my primary instructor, and we did it, and as the class let out, because some people were very bored with color mixing, you know, and they wanted to get right to the artwork. And I stuck with my teacher because she wanted to teach me things about color and getting it together that way. So I already said you use a neutral colored pencil, to draw on it. And Arnie has a color wheel right in his hot little hand there. Pass that around. And I use that primarily, it helps me to mix colors, and it's the most important tool that you'll have for mixing. I know that a lot of you, I'm looking around, there's a lot of you that are into art and have art classes, and you're doing that. And somebody here is also in ceramic classes. Yeah, pass that around. Does every couple have one of these? Arnie, pass them around. That's true. Now, this is something interesting that I have here. It's called a packing list for plein air painting. Now, I have only been out on location maybe 3 times to paint something in my vicinity or out in the park. And this is the packing list that I use. I didn't make copies of it, but basically it's a whole survival kit that will help you out in the open. And the place that I go most is a park in Winton Woods. And I stand around there, and if I stand around long enough, I can think of some things, and I've painted a lot of the things out there in the ocean. Out there in the park. This is, Rabbi, this is yours. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I like that. It says, you pray for the welfare of the congregation and its men and women, and I always do. And I know I have all my friends out here, so I'm in good hands. This is an example of a palette, which I have in a large form that I use, and some of you are familiar with that sort of thing, right? And I don't know what I would do without an actual palette. This top one only has 4 main colors, which come directly out of the tube. And what you do when you make a palette board, you have more or less about 10 colors, which are on the bottom, and you mix those at will, you know, and you learn more about color that way. Somebody said to me tonight, well, I don't like abstract. And I said, well, if you look around here, everybody, everything is abstract. Everything that you look at, the Torah stand, the doors are abstract. The windows are abstract. Everything is abstract. It's all a question of what? Design. So it all has to do with design. What was the other thing I want to say? I have some things down there. I have some things that I want to pass out. These are some photographs of some of the paintings that some of you people have. This is interesting because I painted nests, about 3 or 4 of them, and given them to my kids. And these are the photographs that I sometimes use. you if you just pass those things around. But my instructor, who I've been working with for 8 years, about 8 years, and I will never leave her class. You know, it's just, and I've made friends there, and we learn from each other. That's the advantage of a class. I don't know, I can't remember when I've ever painted in the studio upstairs, you know, by myself, although I do. I do paint up there. But I prefer painting with people and taking suggestions. There is one person that doesn't like my suggestions, so she doesn't like to hear them. So but that's okay. It's all right. But that's all right. Does every couple have one of these? Yeah, it's... This one is for Julie. I guess I can get it to her. There's a book, and I know you can't write it down. It was just mentioned in one of my one of the printouts that came on in my email. It was from the Cincinnati Art Club downtown, and it's called Rough Sketches by Dan Andrews. I should have had it written down on this gold yellow form, but I didn't do that. So are there any questions?
From your description of your process, it sounds like you do mostly landscapes. Is that true?
I do still life, but I like landscapes much better. And somebody said something about abstract. It's almost anything that you do is really abstract, because I don't find myself copying things verbatim, you know, like trying to duplicate things, although I do. But
You don't do portraits, do you?
not at all. But I know two people that get big money for their portraits. I mean, and their portraits are fantastic. And I don't want to mention names. I don't want to mention names of instructors either, but a couple of you know of some of them over at the Women's Art Club. And if you give me a call later in the week or something like that, I'll give you their names. And I think on that form, on that yellow form, I think I have the Women's Art Club, and I think I have Lynn Hogue. No, not Lynn Hogue. No, I have the Lynn Long. That's a different one. Okay, Lynn Long is over at the Women's Art Club. Did I put the number down there? Okay, so there's a number there. And the Cincinnati Art Club and Wessel Gallery, there's the number there. I can tell you better next week who to call there. Next week, what's the name of the place where I'm going to do, Don Schuster is going to do the presentation? Evendale? You know, there's a corner building called Evendale on the corner of Glendale, Milford, and Reading Road. You all know where it is. I know you do. And there, Don Schuster, who is the present president of the Cincinnati Art Club, is going to go there, and he's going to do a demo, and he's going to do a talk about his art. In the past 5 years, he has included his art as his living, but he worked for many organizations as art director and things like that. So he is exclusively doing art now, and I'm very excited about it. And if you need to know more about it, call me during the week or even Sunday, and I'll meet you there. I'm supposed to be taking a couple of other people over there if I can get them to go. Well, it's hard, you know. But it's always good, and he has so much information, I think you'd like him if you're interested in that sort of thing. And actually, that's all I have. I color mix right on the palette. That's yes. Oh, I like oils. But number one, I've always liked drawing. So, I think paramount is that you have to draw. Although I know all these people that are fantastic artists, but they're abstract artists. And it doesn't require them to really draw. But they have designs, and that's all it takes. And they do that.
What would you say, when you started, what did you consider?
Colored pencil is always fun. And just charcoal drawing. When I go down to the Cincinnati Art Club downtown, and they always have an art show down there. You have to call first and see, and you can go down, you can look over the art show, you can find out about classes, and actually I pay big time to be a member of that organization and the Women's Art Club. What's the other one? Oh, and the Queen City Art Club, which they must have been out of their mind because they made me president of the Women's Art Club. And I had this discussion with some of my friends. And I don't know what I'm doing, really. Except I will be there next week and to welcome Don Schuster, and he'll have a really good talk and demo. And everybody wants a demo. And I think Edie went with me once. Didn't you go with me once? And somebody did a demo. And
I've been with you several times to the art club. I have to say that I took art lessons when I lived in St. Louis before I moved here.
I know.
I was really bad at it.
You were not. You never were.
Harder than it looks.
No, you were never bad at it. And you have some examples of your work.
They're in my basement.
Edie, that's so bad, really. Oh, she's good, yes.
I've seen, there's an example, let's say you're doing a landscape of a mountain covered with trees, so the green mountain, there's a cloud over it.
Yeah,
So the color of the green becomes a little darker.
right.
When you take a picture of that, and then you try to replicate that off-green color of the cloud,
I know.
is it like trial and error? Do you try to combine certain green with another color?
I have to say, I never try to duplicate. I never try to duplicate. I try to come close to the color and then draw with the paint. A sky is a sky with cloud shapes, so you tend to draw it in, right? Yeah, to combine colors, basically. But the sky, remember, sky is basically blue. So I have tubes of 3 different blues. So if it's a great big sky, I might combine several of the blues and change it. Yeah, George.
In the same vein, you talked about starting with like 4 basic colors and then mixing your colors on the palette. How do you know what colors you want until you actually are painting?
Well, that's how you learn. That's trial and error. That's trial and error. And, if you could just take a blank canvas and put down push out a couple of tubes of paint, let's say it's yellow and blue, well, that's going to make green.
Right.
So you're going to mix it together.
Colors, there are many different kinds of green. So you have a green mix for a tree, whatever. And
Right.
when you do the tree, you say, I think I want it to be a slightly different color. You change it then, but what's the benefit of having these so pre-mixed colors if you're in the end you're going to go other things?
That's a really good question. But when you think about that, you'll mix the colors and put it in there as trees or whatever. And then aside from that, you can mix different colors and get greens or blue greens, or that's what you're trying to say, right? You're changing the colors of the greens?
Yeah, like if you do that as you go along, right? Is that it?
Yeah, you can.
Once you've committed yourself to a certain shade of green, can you change it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you should see me with my brush. Yeah. But you know, right. That's true. You have a question? No. Any other questions? Unfortunately, I'm drawing to a close. Just when I was having a good time. Thank you, friends at Northern Hills.
Thank you. I was reminded that in my haste to make way for our guest, I stepped away before offering a blessing for our anniversary couples. Who do we have who is celebrating an anniversary here in October? Let's see. One couple. We have one couple. No, only one couple. Okay. Well, in that case, I'll embarrass you ever so slightly. I'll invite you guys up, please. Alex and Candy. Any others? No others? Just making sure? Okay. So Alex and Candy Gellant celebrating on what day? The 16th. How many years?
55.
55 years. 55 years. Mazal tov. I don't remember mentioning a number that high since I started doing this.
You must have.
In the last few months, we really made an effort to try to make sure we brought this back. I think we had some 50s, some 49s, 60. We did have a 60. That's right. Okay, so we did have a 60. I always tell people, if you really try, you might catch up, but probably not. So my son also thinks that. He thinks that his sister's going to get older than him at some point, and we tried explaining. So I have something here for you guys to read. I can read the Hebrew if you'd like me to, and you can read the English. Okay, so Anila Dodi v'Dodi li, meaning?
I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine.
Eloheinu v'Elohei kol dorotenu, our God and God of all generations, we give thanks for the many blessings with which you have blessed the marriages of those together with us here in this holy community. As they continue to share with one another their burdens and their joys, may they always have cause to say, Ashrenu, Matov, Chalkenu.
How blessed we are, how godly, goodly is our portion.
And may they be blessed with wisdom and understanding in their relationship and in all their undertakings. As it is written, B'chokhmah yibaneh bayit uvitvuna yitkonan, a house is built by wisdom and established by understanding. May they maintain a home that glows with the light of faith and honors the house of Israel as they celebrate their 55 years together. May Alex and Candy do so with gladness and thanksgiving, giving glory to your holy name. And let us say, Amen. Mazal tov, and for many, 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 many years to come.
Thank you.
Well, I will bid you all a Shabbat Shalom. We have some refreshments out in the lobby. Feel free to enjoy those, and I hope everyone has a lovely and restful Shabbat. And thank you, B, for sharing with us a little bit of your craft. Thank you. middle. Billy, you lost a sprig. You lost a sprig. Where do these go?